Ceci n'est pas une pipe, ceci c'est un crime passionnel.
Synecdoche, New York is a depressing yet entrancing and above all mystifying surrealist drama by acclaimed indie filmmaker Charlie Kaufman. New York theater director Caden Cathard, Philip Seymour Hoffman, resolves to finally create something important after his family life deteriorates and a strange illness begins shutting down his bodily functions. He envisions a sprawling, ever-expanding stage reproduction of mundane lives, thus showcasing the pure self, and this play ends up intermingling with Caden's real life until the boundaries are non-existent. Synecdoche, New York is not really a film you can enjoy, strictly speaking, but it's still a good film of staggering ambition and emotional discipline. The late, great Philip Seymour Hoffman shines as always, portraying in his understated style a man of intense melancholy and artistic dedication. The film is a tragicomedy of sorts. Caden is obsessed with recreating his life, yet never takes the time to fix it, as he keeps wallowing in self-pity and yearning for the past. Caden is the sad creative anchor, and the excellent supporting cast keeps things interesting. The unconventional novelty of the premise draws you into Synecdoche's world, and you are constantly wondering what turns the play will take, how Caden's life will inform the play, and vice versa, and how the play will affect the people within it. Claire, Michelle Williams, Caden's second wife, becomes disillusioned by how much of an unmoving rut the play is, and has understandable difficulty in not taking others' acting personally, given how much the play has swallowed up her own life. Hazel, Samantha Morton, on the other hand, is quite invested in the play as part of a complicated relationship with Caden. You initially view Hazel, who begins as the ticket lady, then becomes Caden's assistant, as flirtatious and ditzy, yet there is a clear precision to everything she does. Claire speculates that Hazel is still a ticket seller at 37 because she couldn't make it as an actress. Therefore, even outside the world-in-world play, she is deep in a comforting character, and always acting because she couldn't do it professionally. Moreover, she is depressed like Caden, but portrays a character to make herself happy. This character composition results in a clever Inception-like layering in which Samantha Morton, in our real world, plays the true Hazel in the film's universe, who in turn plays an affectation of herself, who in turn plays a version of this inside the play, and then Emily Watson, in our world, plays Tammy, who in turn portrays a play-in-play version of Hazel's affectation inside the play. Hazel is ultimately the most important woman in Caden's life, but it takes until old age for them to finally, completely accept each other for the broken soulmates they are. Tom Noonan provides levity and pathos as Sammy, the actor portraying Caden in his play. Through decades-long observation and research, Sammy knows Caden better than Caden knows himself, and even starts assuming Caden's role as director. However, Sammy is much more lively and independent-minded than Caden. While Caden is a slave to accuracy, Sammy offers brighter perspectives and flirts with Hazel across levels of the play's reality. This, of course, generates tension between them, yet this only feeds the play. Synecdoche, New York is superficially similar, by inversion, to The Master, another great indie film starring Philip Seymour Hoffman. In The Master, Joaquin Phoenix's character is the protagonist, but his author/spiritual leader mentor, Lancaster Dodd, played by Hoffman, is far more engaging. In Synecdoche, New York, Caden, also Hoffman, is the protagonist, but the people around him are much more detailed and dynamic. But Synecdoche is still a good character study, as a substantive insight into a character's mind, life, and identity will nearly always require knowledge of the other people the character interacts with. A character with no friends, acquaintances, or loved ones doesn't have much of a character, after all. Synecdoche's very slow pace and its use of repetition reflects Caden's mental state, as he is unable to move on or grow emotionally. The play setting is an astounding microcosm, both a place of performing fiction and a functioning miniature of the world outside. Just as Magritte's famous pipe drawing is both a pipe and a representation of a pipe, or is it? Could it not be said that the actors, who effectively play themselves, have their lives inside the play just as much as outside of it? Or is the play recreating the city itself the city? Beyond the ever-complicated, life-recreating play, the striking surrealist touches have far more coherent visual language and thematic relevance than the Lynchian brand of surrealism, which tends to present bizarre, disparate imagery and simply justify it as dream logic. For instance, Hazel's perpetually burning house symbolizes the risk and potential mortality inherent in all endeavors, and Caden's daughter Olive's diary updating itself even though she's never home to write in it alludes to the stress and imaginative overreaction many fathers have when their kids go out into the world without their guidance. Many people have made their own interpretations and analyses of the film. The film's preoccupation with death, with Caden's surname, Cotard, referring to Cotard's delusion, the psychological belief that you are dead, may imply that Caden is actually dead, and this lifelike play made from unlimited grant money may be his afterlife. But I walked away from Synecdoche, New York with a very humanistic reading. To me, Synecdoche, New York depicts the worst God possible. Caden's new illness brings his fear of death neurotically to the forefront. With his family leaving him and his autonomic functions, such as salivating and tear production, shutting down, Caden desires control and develops a pronounced God complex, expressed in the play, to reclaim this control. Synecdoche could be viewed as a deconstruction of the old God created humans in his image concept. If God is humanoid, then he might be insecure, capricious, obsessive, and timid like Caden, or like all of us are occasionally, or indeed how the Greek, Roman, and Norse pantheon could be. If God exists, do you think he'd ever feel guilty about murdering so many people? I don't even mean through wars and disasters. I mean that God killed over 100 billion people in the history of Homo sapiens by simply inventing the property of death, if you believe the legends. If a god attained a sense of its own mortality, it might become a self-pitying micromanager like Caden. It's a slight stretch, but a humanistic religious reading is a weird analysis for a weird movie. I would say that I was thoroughly engrossed in Synecdoche, New York for about 65 to 70% of it. Like I indicated in my Enter the Void review, a grim, depressing tone ceases to be emotionally fulfilling if it lasts for too long without hope or change. Synecdoche eventually wears out its moody intrigue and becomes tedious, and toward the end, its more concentrated focus on Caden instead of the people around him is less interesting. I also didn't like the subplot with Olive, Caden's first daughter, who grows from a cute little girl to an erotic art muse, is turned against Caden, and then dies from infected tattoos. The subplot is mean-spirited with little point. Synecdoche, New York is a thematically rich film with engaging characters, meaningful surrealism, and a unique artistic vision, but it loses momentum toward the conclusion, and its sad tone feels maudlin at times. As such, I give Synecdoche, New York the purely subjective rating of 3.5 stars out of 5. Thanks for watching. Cheers.